cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. The resounding words of French author André Gide. They could have been talking about Nigeria's seeming incurable obsession with the wasting asset called oil. Africa's most populous nation is currently struggling to diversify an ailing economy through agricultural resurgence. But the delirium from decades of blind dependence on free petrodollars has made hard work and innovation a difficult task. The passion, patience and innovation required to grow agriculture seems lacking, and when available, it's almost like a wink in the dark. A perfect example is the recent innovation of converting cassava peels to animal feed, a first in Nigeria. The discovery comes at a time when the livestock industry is in dire straits over the astronomical cost of feed. A time when insecurity is worsened by the ancient practice of itinerant grazing. Despite this value-unlocking innovation, Nigeria's livestock industry is still waiting for the price of maize and soya beans to drop and make animal feed cheaper. On Farmers Market this week,
nothing is going to waste on the cassava, because this cassava, I think the stick is money, the root is money, the peel is money.
we visit the Ojapata community in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State to explore the value and great potential of cassava to Nigeria's economy. Farmers Market, a program that promotes Nigeria's agricultural prowess, identifies the challenges besetting the sector and advocates policies and programs that will help grow Nigeria's agro-economy. Varieties of highly nutritious rice in Abakaliki, Ofada, Kano, yet Nigeria wastes billions on rice importation.
Cocoa in the southwest, and yet top dollar is spent on imported chocolate and beverages.
Fruits rot in Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, yet imported juice line the shops.
82 million hectares of rich arable land, yet no jobs, and food insecurity threatens.
Real wealth is in farming, livestock, hatcheries, fisheries, horticulture, and forestry.
It's time to act different.
Time to bring Nigerian farmers to the markets.
Farmers Market, growing Nigeria's agro-economy.
Showing every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. on AIT.
Cassava, the staple of more than 200 million people, most of whom live in Africa. Cassava is fast becoming Africa's most popular staple because it is drought tolerant. It grows well in soils with modest nutrient composition and low rainfall, and its wide harvesting window allows it to act as a famine reserve. Cassava tubers are rich in carbohydrates. Its leaves are even richer. Experts say they contain about the same amount of protein as an egg. Its stems, valuable for starch extraction and other uses. Apart from food, cassava is used for the production of ethanol, high-quality starch, flour, and animal feed. It is also used to make paper and adhesives. Cassava production worldwide has increased by 30% to approximately 225 million metric tons over the past decade and a half, with Africa producing over 54% of total output. In Nigeria, cassava is one of the most important staples. This probably explains why more cassava is produced here than any other country in the world. Over 60 million metric tons per annum, according to the 2014 figures of the Food and Agricultural Organization. Nigeria's cassava output could have been a lot more impressive, but production is hampered by the low average yield of 7.7 metric tons per hectare, compared to the 29 and 23.4 metric tons average yield produced in India and Indonesia. There are many factors responsible for Nigeria's poor cassava yield. Poor farming practices, low quality cassava varieties, and poor access to markets are some of them. Nigeria's current economic difficulties have made it imperative to tackle these problems and ramp up production of cassava with the help of several international organizations. And the efforts are beginning to yield positive results.
The major project that has really worked on cassava is the IFAD Food for Agricultural Development, International Food for Agricultural Development. And it was then we discovered that Kogi State is the highest producer of cassava in the country. Maybe the potentials that are available in Kogi, the land, the topography, and the rest that attracts this crop. But there are other states, like the southern part of the country, that are largely into the production of cassava. Ondo State, Ekiti, Osun, and some of those states, they are cultivating cassava in a large form.
Welcome to Ojapata in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State, north-central Nigeria. A small community far-flung from the state capital, Lokoja. Cassava is the main crop grown here, a reason why it attracted the attention of several international organizations working to improve cassava yield in the country. The Ojapata Cassava Farm, 80 hectares of cassava grown with pest-resistant and high-yielding variety called TME 419. A demonstration to the 80 farming families that operate the Ojapata cluster that cassava can be big business.
At Ojapata, we have 8 groups of 10 members each, giving us a total of 80 farmers on a hectare each. Each farmer is allocated with 1 hectare. Planted, as you can see now, this was planted September last year, 2016, and any moment from now is due for harvesting. With the variety, TME 419 being planted, it has advantages of high yielding. It's high yielding, it's resistant to drought as well as diseases. If all other agronomic practices are being followed holistically, we're going to get not less than, we're going to get between 25 and 30 tons per hectare, as against 10 on a normal, without agronomic practice, the local method.
The presence of the traditional ruler on the farm amply demonstrates the importance attached to it by the community.
We have been in the farm and farming, but it was a local way. But with the coming of Adama, we have discovered so many things. Like now, the way we apply the chemical, with application of the chemical, it makes life easy on the farm. Than before, you used to clear the land, till the land, just like that. But with the application of the chemical, you can increase your farm very large.
Even as the 80 hectares of cassava thrives, the farmers are shown other possibilities. This plot, for instance, is grown with 100% organic materials, even though it's the same TME 419 variety of cassava. It's just the first cycle of production in this 80-hectare cassava cluster, but the villagers already see a difference. The skeptics have had a change of heart. Some of them are already clearing plots to participate in the next cycle.
Well, right now we have 150 as against 80 of last year. So more have joined. They are different from the one participating now because they are not funded twice, just one cycle as seed money, and you continue on yours. So 150 different new farmers are on their own different plots this time. There is not going to be glut. But right now there are off-takers are waiting to off-take what is on the farm now. So that alone gingers more farmers into it. No glut, you don't expect leftover. As soon as, from the next one, in fact, MOUs have been signed between the farmers and the off-takers to off-take at the prevailing price at the time of harvesting.
The guarantee of off-take is not the only driving force behind the fast-growing cassava production in Ojapata. The community also anchors a major innovation in the use of cassava in Nigeria. A cassava waste-to-wealth project that turns peels to animal feed.
Before you can see a heap of cassava peels at the front of Express there, and we continue burning it. But with the coming of synagogues, their intervention now, no one is losing the game. People, when they peel the cassava, the peels, they will just dry and carry it to the engine. That is the synagogue engine that they provided us. And then they will, with the dried peels, they will grind it and it will turn to animal feed. And even if you give the fowl again, they will take it. So we are so much happy with the support of synagogues. They are helping us. And it's encouraged the whole system that people know actually that nothing is going to waste on the cassava. Because this cassava, I think the stick is money, the root is money, the peel is money.
The Ojapata production cluster. The main operation here is to turn cassava to food for humans. Here, cassava tubers are processed into flakes or powder to make food popularly known across West Africa as gari and fufu. Daily meals in many parts of the region. Gari is made when cassava tubers are peeled, grated into paste, packed in long bags, and drilled to dryness in a jack. It is then dried and sieved to eliminate coarse particles from the fine cassava powder. Now it is ready for frying. This is done until it is slightly cooked, very dry and brittle. In the process of making gari, a huge part of the tuber goes to waste in the form of peels. In fact, it is estimated that of every 5 tons of cassava processed, at least 1 ton is wasted either in the form of peels from domestic use or pulp from industrial use. Kogi State is reputed to be the largest producer of cassava in Nigeria, with at least 10% of total output. And this is because of massive intervention by government and non-governmental organizations, as well as the advent of several companies requiring cassava for the production of starch, ethanol, alcohol, beverages, and other products.
They've beckoned on us to encourage our farmers to do more cultivation of cassava. They buy a ton for 38,000. The average yield of cassava in Kogi is between 25 tons to 30 tons per hectare. So we are saying that even if you pick the lowest figure, which is 25 tons per hectare, and you multiply by 38,000, you get about 950,000. So these statistics, we have put it outside there. And this has encouraged people to actually go into massive cassava production.
The state produces about 70,000 metric tons per annum, and the waste is huge. It is also hazardous to the environment. However, the good news came when the International Livestock Research Institute, ILRI, along with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, and other organizations developed a technology to process fresh cassava peels into high-quality feed for livestock. But local cassava producers like those in Ojapata had no access to the technology until a non-governmental organization, Synegos, came along.
What we're doing in the 3 states we're working in is we've identified policy areas where the government has to create an enabling environment for investors. So we'll work on that. We've also identified areas of pressure points, blockages, where we can expand the system or strengthen the system. So we choose those on the basis of the resources we have and the interest of the stakeholders. And we're building capacity of the people to be able to take whatever we're doing and extend it. So what you're seeing in Ojapata is the Cassava Peels project. What happened with the Cassava Peels project is very fascinating, and I think you're going to hear more about it. What happened was that we were in IITA, we met with people from ILRI, and they gave us a presentation of this technology they had, of turning the peels of cassava from waste into wealth. Turning it from just pure waste that is gathered by women scraping to feed for animals. In fact, there are 2 stages to it. There's the skin and there's the leaves. So it was really exciting. So we came away and we decided that this would be our innovation project, especially because women would have an industry that nobody has thought about, that they can lead.
The process of producing animal feed from cassava is almost like that of making gari, except that the graters are different. The first step is to carefully separate the stumps from the peels.
When they peel the cassava, then we selected the bad one from it, the stumps and the other dirty things out of the cassava peel. After we selected it, we carry it to the grating machine. From the grating machine, we take it to the jack. After we jack it, the jack will use it for a day. When we jack it in the evening, before tomorrow morning, it will ferment. From there, we take it down to the pulverizing machine. After we pulverizing machine, we take it to the sieving. From the sieving now, we have 2 different types of materials. First, we have the fine mass. This fine mass, we fried it, then we put it for sun, almost 4 to 6 hours to cool. Then from there, we take it to the store. From the store down, we bag it. But the coasters, we spread it for sun, 8 hours. If it is dry, we take it down to the store. There we bag it.
This is what the fine mass looks like. A brownish powder, much like regular chicken feed. This one is the coarse mass.
The fine mass belongs to the chicken. That is the hens. That's for the poultry ones. That's the fine mass is for them. But the coastal mass belongs to cow, goat, pig, and other domestic animals.
The processing of cassava peels into animal feed could be a huge relief for the livestock industry that is currently threatened by the skyrocketing cost of regular feed because of the scarcity and high cost of maize, sorghum, and soya beans.
So if we have this replicated in many places, there will be employment, there will be conversion of this feed to animal feed that will now go to many, those who are rearing markets. There's animal markets or animal farms, whether they are ranches or grazing areas, or people who keep goatries. This feed, the two types. The coarse one goes for big and small ruminants, that's cattle, sheep, and goat. The fine particles is like a starter pack that can serve as starter pack, and then other things could be added to make animal feed for poultry and fish and pig. These are the good sides of this thing, so that a large group of livestock can be taken care of.
It could also provide a solution to the security crisis caused by the seemingly endless conflict between farmers and herdsmen in search of pasture for their cattle. In many ways, cassava is symbolic of the lost opportunities of Nigeria's agriculture. But more importantly, it is also a symbol of the great future potentials.
If you want to change this country, it has to start from bottom up. The only chance for you to get that is in agriculture. Any other industry we have is going to be top down. So this is really the place where the rubber meets the road, this agriculture thing. The seriousness with which we engage it, the clarity in which we support it, the importance that not just government is not where innovation comes from. Let me repeat that. Many people talk about government this, government that. Government is supposed to create the enabling environment. It is for us to bring up, I'll stop for 1 minute. The average age of farmers is over 60. In Nigerian terms means they're extinct. Simple. Because the age of survival for Nigerians, or average age, is about 50 something. Scary, right? So how can we be talking about agriculture in those terms and say, well, these people, of course, what is happening is those farmers are doing what they're used to doing. If we're getting throughput of new people and we're beginning to see the green shoots of that come into agriculture, they would be able to talk to government on parity and challenge government where it's appropriate. What we need is this effort that we're going to make now, for it to be concerted and for it to last for at least 25, 30 years. There's no quick fix. There's no quick fix. If anybody tells you that there's going to be a quick fix for this, they're joking. But we don't need a quick fix. We do not need a quick fix as Nigerians. We need a disciplined, patient, consistent, continuously improving effort in agriculture.
That's Farmers Market for this week. For feedback and sponsorship considerations, email us on info@farmersmarketng.com. Follow us on Twitter @farmersmarketng and like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/farmersmarketng. Farmers Market returns same time, same station next week. Thanks for watching.